Well, the export taxes were imposed back in 2008 when
Yes.
soybean prices were at all-time highs, and
Mhm.
uh, the government considered that farmers were doing too much money and that they should uh, give up a part of it. So they imposed these tax exports that would actually, I'm thinking that these tax exports were imposed before 2008, but in 2008 they tried to change the mechanism where if the price of the soybean increased, the tax would increase as well, following the soybean price. So as the price goes higher, the government gets more revenue. Let me say that he doesn't need the Congress to remove these taxes. He can set the rate to zero, and that would fix the problem. He already did that with some commodities, with the smaller industries, like peanuts, like regional fruits, that kind of things that is not produced in such a massive scale, such as soybean.
Buy my novel, Escape from the Village, from major booksellers online. Go to escapevillage.com. Subscribe to the Substack. Go to fountainheadforum.substack.com. Support the forum. Go to buymeacoffee.com/fountainheadforum. Thank you. Welcome to the Party Pal. This is Fountainhead Forum 380. I'm talking again to Adam Dubove. He's in Argentina. We're going to talk about Javier Milei. And we've got elections coming up on Sunday. It's the 22nd, and those elections are on the 26th. We're also going to talk about this currency swap that some people are calling a bailout, but it's not a giveaway. It is a trade. So we'll talk about what's going on in Argentina right now in the currency swap. Milei was recently in America again, and he's going to be coming back to America again. He seems to be making that trip a lot. It's about 9 or 10 hours, but he's doing it. So how are you, Adam?
Hey, Chris, how are you? Glad to be back here, like 1 hour later.
Yes. Yeah. So anyway, so this currency swap, can you tell me what is the reason for this and how it will help or hurt your country right now?
Yeah, sure. So Argentina has a big debt problem, not
Yes.
because the public debt of the country is in such a large size in relation to the GDP, but because we cannot, the Argentine government is not able to roll over when bonds mature. Instead of so all around the world, governments, when they have to make payments on past debt, instead of paying, they will just maybe pay a part and then roll over the debt and move forward the expiration date for that notes. In the case of Argentina, because of its historic credit history and the long sequence of defaults, Argentina has defaulted its debt like 20 times in the last 70 years or something around that. So Argentina is in need of US dollars in order to repay lenders who have purchased the Argentine bonds. And in order to make these payments, the Argentine government needs US dollars. And they don't have those dollars right now. Well, now with these $20 billion swap, they will have it. But they don't have it because mainly the previous government made a new agreement with the IMF, with the International Monetary Fund, and scheduled the expiration dates for the Argentine debt, and they did it in such a way that all the payments were deferred until this period, until this government. So the previous governments have said, okay, give me a 2-year grace period for starting to pay. And oh, what a coincidence, the grace period finished when the previous government left office. So this really large imbalance. I mean, they left the central bank reserves at a negative number of $11 million. This large imbalance is what is making Argentina look for US dollars.
Yeah, and this is thank you for explaining that, because this is some things people still don't seem to quite understand, is that Milei still has obligations that were placed on him by previous administrations. I mean, that were made in the name of the government, and he has to, even though he wasn't there at the time or wasn't president at the time, there's still these obligations, that were, made by the government. It's the same way, if one CEO takes over for the old CEO, the old CEO may have signed a bunch of contracts, but the new CEO still has to try to fulfill those. So it's unfortunately
there's a continuity.
There's still that reality, because and I do wonder sometimes if they purposely did this to hamstring any future president, or if it was just the way they do business. But with all these defaults, and as we pointed out, Argentina is giving the U.S. $20 billion. Well, the U.S. is giving Argentina $20 million US dollars, and Argentina is giving the equivalent back to the U.S. in pesos. So that's just the same way if I trade my currency at the airport, although it's just a whole lot more money. So what do you think? What does the U.S. do with these pesos? I mean, do they just sit on them, or do they eventually going to trade them back? Or, I mean, because obviously there's not really much that a foreign government, the U.S. can do with all these other currencies. They're just going to sit on them, right? Or are they going to trade them back, or what's the deal there?
I'm not sure. I know that this program was implemented in the late 90s, I think, in Mexico and in Japan. I'm not really sure what the U.S. government does with those pesos. They can do a lot because the peso is not convertible currency. You don't have global markets to trade the peso. So I don't know what to answer to that question.
Yeah. And of course, are these agreements to trade them back at the same value as before, or will they be traded back at the current market value? I mean, if the peso goes up, the U.S. in some ways benefits from this, but if the peso goes to nothing, then the U.S. doesn't really benefit from them. I mean, seems like a lot of people just use this IMF stuff and things to play games and try to hide their debts or create money out of nothing, which seems to be what they're always trying to do.
What is interesting is that right now the opposition that is getting ready to now we're going to have elections now next Sunday. The opposition is like saying in the campaign, so our job is to explain to people and the world that we're not going to pay the debt if we got back to the government in 2027. They're saying that they is unpayable, that they are like gifting country to international organizations, and that they will repeal the debt once again. And that's why there is always an extra condiment when we are in the middle of election season. And that's because the opposition is always like, if you had two reasonable parties competing for election, and I'm just like removing my libertarian purity test right now, kit, and I'll say, okay, we have like a conservative party and a social democratic party. They both suck. They both want to raise taxes, keep regulations, whatever. But they won't inflate they won't broke the money printer, or they won't just include into the break the social security system by adding millions of people that haven't made any contribution in their whole lives. In Argentina, we have as a model that there is a more reasonable proposition, a more reasonable offer that right now is embodied by the libertarian proposal, which that makes a special period in Argentina, that the reasonable proposal is embodied by a libertarian party or by a libertarian president. And on the other hand, we have these guys that they say, well, if we get back to the government, we won't pay the debt, we will reimpose capital controls, we will reimpose price controls. We'll go back to where we were 2 years ago.
Yeah, and certainly we've made Argentina has made a lot of progress 2 years. As some people pointed out, it has gotten, while the currency stabilized, things have gotten a little more expensive. Is that true or not?
No, well, actually, Argentina got more expensive in US dollars last year.
Yeah.
But in comparison, but the point is that the starting point, 2023, was really we were having like African wages and African prices here, with people like a retired person would earn with their state pension like $80. You could go out and have a large pizza for $4-5. Prices were extremely cheap because the currency was almost worthless. In 2024, after the evaluation and after the first evaluation, that impacted the prices, pushing them even lower. But after this first devaluation and the beginning of the stabilization plan, prices in dollars started to pick up speed. But that's reasonable because we were having a price level of a country with, I don't know, $100 million of GDP. So prices went up in dollars last year, but salaries went up in dollars last year as well. As I was telling you, the average salary in 2023 was around $200-250. Now the average salary is around $800-700 US. So, but that was mainly a phenomenon last year. This year, because of the peso has weakened a little bit. We started this year, I think the peso is around 1,000 pesos for a US dollar, and we are around 1,500 pesos for a US dollar. So in US dollars, the country got a bit cheaper last month. But yes, I'd say that the last couple of months, because of elections and because of what I was telling you before of what is the essence of the other party facing Milei, there was a lot of volatility in the forex market. I told you, like, the dollar went from 1,000 pesos to 1,500 pesos. So yes, it's been a volatile year because of elections, and we have to look forward what's going to happen after the election once we get the results and how is going to be the Congress composed.
Yes, and going back to some charts here, we can see 5 years ago the American dollar would get 78 pesos. That went up to about 150 in 2022, October 2022, and then it just started going. This looks like it was the mid-market rate, so when
that's probably the official exchange rate.
Yeah, the official exchange rate. Yeah, then when Milei came in, it went to 363. Then we had the jump because Milei basically pegged the official exchange rate to the real exchange rate, which was over 800. So now we're up at about 1490. So we're still, it's still not been that great for the peso, but it seems like as you said, the market rates versus the real rates, it's hard to say. It's and go back 10 years, the peso, and go back 10 years, the peso was under $10.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
10 less than 10 pesos for a dollar. That was
yes. That time it was around 10 pesos for a dollar in the black market exchange rate. But throughout the year, economists have been saying that the peso was overvalued and China was not able to compete with the world in the global trade markets, and that the government should depreciate the currency in order to make Argentina more competitive by lowering wages and lowering cost. But of course, this is a solution we've heard, and we like every crisis, every recession. There's people that show up and say that we need to depreciate the currency so we can get more competitive, and that is like saying, let's impoverish our own people in order to make place for competition and
Yes.
to let our companies earn money, instead of saying, let's lift all these stupid regulations, taxes, trade barriers, and whatever we have here that prevents us from incentivizing competition. I mean, these guys have been like, I was talking the other day with a friend. He is in the face mask industry, and these, I don't know, like the hospital gowns that you use when you are at a hospital.
Yes.
And I had like a family issue this year where a relative was in the hospital, and she had this hospital gown that, like, on the side you had like a string to tie it in order not to keep it fixed to your body. But this knot that you have on your side, it might scratch your skin and it may irritate your skin. So this person asked me, hey, can't you ask your friend if there is like an alternative with Velcro or another thing that is smoother for the skin? So I called my friend and I asked him, so this person is going through this, and she's having like scratches or irritation on her skin because of these knots that have these hospital gowns. Is there any alternative that it's healthier or smoother? And he told me something that is crazy. He said, these kind of hospital gowns are available in the whole world and have been available for 20, 30 years. But here in Argentina, because we don't have any competition from abroad, people selling hospital gowns, people selling face masks, we can just, take a nap, not
Yeah.
innovate, and keep selling these low quality hospital gowns. So instead of creating the conditions and the environment for companies to invest and get more competitive, they're just proposing, hey, let's take the money of the regular people just to make our useless uh, businessman more efficient.
Yeah, and from what I've heard, by the way, medical equipment is really hard to get down there. That can be really problematic. I don't know if something as basic as hospital gowns would be that way, but certainly the more important medical equipment. But yeah, so yes, so certainly you've got it. You've got that. So yes, so lower, a devalue. Yeah, when the currency is worth less, you do get a chance to sell more things abroad, but of course it makes it harder to bring things in. So yeah, what I'm also hearing something about this new Argentina is going to try to sell a lot of beef in the US. Is that true? Or because you guys have got a pretty sizable beef industry, right?
Indeed, we used to lead the continent. I think now Brazil has overtaken us because of
Yeah.
our regulations. Honestly, I haven't been following this issue with the beef too closely, but I just read a couple of minutes ago that the US DA said something like, because of the aftosa disease in Argentina, we won't be importing Argentine beef to the US. But and I think that even the ranchers protested because of that. But I'm not really into that. I don't know what was going on with that.
What kind of regulations are you talking about? I know it's highly overregulated here. Uh,
So mainly export tax. And there was even, I think it was a ban on exporting, for example, live, how do you say this, live cows, livestock. Um, so, yes, it would be like all the tax exports, the local taxes, all of that would impact in, reducing the frontier, the production frontier for the country. When you add more regulations, more taxes, there are areas of the country where you could otherwise, cultivate crops or raise livestock. Then it turns anti-economical to do that, and they stop working on that area. So as taxes increase, as regulations increase, the cultivable area, which is economic, which makes sense economically, has been shrinking over the last 25 years.
Yes, and certainly, and of course, you still have some export taxes. So exporting things that are produced in Argentina isn't necessarily an option. Do we know why these export taxes are still here? Does Congress have to get rid of them, or because this seems like one of the worst taxes you could possibly implement anywhere. I mean, people are going to. It just means people will, instead of paying the export taxes, they just won't produce the stuff. So I don't know how much revenue it's going to bring in anyway, and it just ends up hurting your industry. I mean, it's a losing proposition for almost everybody. What can you tell me about the export taxes?
Well, the export taxes were imposed back in 2008 when soybean prices were at all-time highs, and the government considered that farmers were doing too much money and that they should give up a part of it. So they imposed these tax exports that would actually, I'm thinking that these tax exports were imposed before 2008, but in 2008 they tried to change the mechanism where if the price of the soybean increased, the tax would increase as well, following the soybean price. So as the price goes higher, the government gets more revenue. Let me say that Milei he doesn't need the Congress to remove these taxes. He can set the rate to zero, and that would fix the problem. He already did that with some commodities, with the smaller industries, like peanuts, regional fruits, that kind of things that is not produced in such a massive scale, such as soybean. And he has promised several times that he would remove the tax exports. Of course, there is this self-imposed rule that Milei has, that in order to reduce taxes, he has to reduce spending. He wants to keep a balanced budget. So it's not that easy to reduce taxes when you have a population that is thirsty for government intervention and thirsty for government provided services. But I think this issue of tax exports and Milei's attitude towards tax exports, we can group it under a larger umbrella that I would say it's the lack of ability to politically execute the government plan. This year has been a terrible year for Milei, politically speaking, with a lot of setbacks in Congress. The Congress even overruled several vetoes that the president issued, and this was the first time that the Congress overruled a veto or a executive order in almost 40 years. So I think the government lost a little bit of its political magic in order to achieve their goals. And this has been showing with a lot of strategic and tactical blunders.
Yes, certainly. I mean, and how do you think this is going to impact the elections on Sunday? I mean, oh, by the way, I also forgot to mention today is Javier Milei's 55th birthday. So happy birthday to Javier Milei. But yes, so what do you think? I mean, do you think the public will still come out for La Libertad Avanza, or do you think they might want to go back to the way things
Well,
were?
that's a good question. We had elections in the Buenos Aires province, which is the largest province of the country, with around 13 million people living there. And the government lost. I don't know if you covered that election in your podcast, but the government lost against the Kirchneristas, the Peronists, and that created a lot of volatility between August, when the election took place, and today, that we are like uh, in the brink of a new election. And a lot of and the political opposition deployed all of its tools, of its propaganda tools, in order uh, to defame uh, libertarian candidates. That I would say that they were also naive, because, for example, like the main candidate for the main province, Buenos Aires, for this election, he just stepped down because he was accused of getting payments from a person accused of being related to drug trafficking back in 2019. This guy was Jose Luis Espert. He was the number one candidate for Congress for the Buenos Aires province. So in Argentina, unlike the US, where you have like to choose between two candidates for Congress, we choose between lists of candidates. So when you choose a party, you choose a list of a lot of candidates that come with that party. But the important candidate is the first one, the one that people knows about. And because of these allegations against Espert of getting money from a drug trafficker in 2019, he ended up stepping down from the election, and now he has been replaced with the guy that ran for governor last election against La Libertad Avanza. He's from Pro Party, from the party of Mauricio Macri, who would say he's like a center-right party. And this shows that if the government has to go to the elections with the guy that was a candidate for the other party 2 years ago, things are not going well.
Yeah, things are not going well. Espert retired. Also, Gerardo Wertheim is also resigning. He's in Milei's cabinet. He was the chancellor. What can you tell us about that? And I'm already hearing some rumblings about who will replace him. So, what can you tell us about
Yes, this was a headline that came out like 1 hour ago. So there is going to be some cabinet exchanges after the election, mainly
Yes.
because there are at least two ministers that are candidates, and they will get a seat. So they will.
Yes. Some of them are running for Senate. Yeah, I think Bullrich is running for Senate. Yes.
Bullrich is running for Senate, and the defense minister Petri is running for Senate, I think, or deputies,
Yes.
whatever. And so everyone is talking that the government is going to, make a facelift for the cabinet after the election. They say that the chief of staff Francos could be moved to the foreign minister position, and Santiago Caputo, who is the advisor or the main advisor of the president,
yes,
he would be he would be the chief of staff.
Yeah, I've heard different changes. Yeah, I've heard also Santiago Caputo might take over Wertheim's positions. His official title is Minister of Foreign Affairs, International Trade, and Worship. So
that's Wertheim.
But sometimes they just call it the Chancellor. He replaced Deanna Mondino, something which I've still not been a big fan. I wasn't really a big fan of that move, and a lot of people would have liked Mondino to stay, but I guess she won't be coming. Doesn't sound like she'll be coming back, but we can wish at least. But so So yes, are those all the changes that you think might take place after this election? Because I think Bullrich is running for the Senate, and we've got some other people running for the Senate. So and some people running for the House. So that's assuming they get in, though.
Yes, I also read that there's, as I told you, like there are a lot of media propaganda operations underway, and there are even like media outlets that are like 100% of their time inventing, making up things, publishing up fake news. But I read that even like the economy minister, Luis Caputo, he might be replaced by the deregulation minister, Federico Sturzenegger. But I think those are just rumors, and we have to wait until Monday to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see what we have after this. I mean, with the elections coming up, I think about half the seats in the Chamber of Deputies are up, and 1/3 of the seats in the Senate are up. So obviously, I don't think La Libertad Avanza will get a majority out of this, but hopefully they can at least have more seats than before and be able to make a difference. Because right now the parties, right now in the Senate there are 72 seats, and La Libertad Avanza has 6, and in the Chamber of Deputies there are 257 seats, and La Libertad Avanza has 38. I mean, that's not really you need more than that if you want to make a difference. So yeah. So
Yes. So the magic number is, I think it's 87 in the
yes.
lower chamber. That's a third of the deputies. So once you get a third of the deputies, you are able to do two things: block
Yeah.
any attempt from Congress to overrule vetoes. So they need over
Yes.
2/3 of the vote in order to overrule veto. If you
Yeah.
control 1/3, you can keep that at place. You can also prevent Congress from repealing executive orders. They also need 2/3 for repealing an executive order from the president. And if you control 1/3, you keep that as well safe from attacks. And the third thing, I would say impeachment. You need also 2/3 in order to promote, to propose an impeachment. And with this
Yes.
1/3, you can keep that from happening.
Yeah.
But it's out of the question that the government will have a majority. Like the markets and everyone will measure the success criteria according if it can capture a third of the chamber.
Yeah, I mean, Milei's had the. I mean, really, Milei's had the whole impeachment thing hanging over his head forever. It'd be nice if he at least didn't have to think about that. But I think, and so it will be interesting to see how things are when there are less, less enemies in or much friendlier. Now, the Republican proposal is also somewhat allied with Milei. They've got 7 in the Senate, and they've got 37 in the chamber as well. So that's
Yes, but now the pro is running along joint with La Libertad Avanza.
yeah.
So,
And of course, that was Macri's party.
mhm. So according to estimates, the government needs around 33% of the vote in order to assure to get that magic third.
Yeah, yeah, get a magic third, yes, and of course, still, yeah. I mean, at least but still, only got 1/2 turning over, so that should be because they're elected every 4 years, the Argentine Chamber of Deputies, and of course, there's the largest bloc. Well, the Union for the Homeland has 99 seats in the Chamber of Deputies,
Mhm.
so.
So those are the Peronists, but
Yeah.
those have more seats at stake than La Libertad Avanza. I think it's around 50, 60 seats that they are putting at
Yeah.
stake in this election. So that's a lot of deputies.
Seems like I'm getting different numbers now. I'm seeing on this page though, La Libertad Avanza has 40. I guess it's maybe because throwing the coalitions more together.
Yeah, that's probably, but probably the right. Let me check, but I think the right number is closer to 40 than to 50. I think it's around 37, 36.
Union por la Patria. Yeah. So we'll see. And 127 of them are up this time. So it's 127 and 130. So, yep. And a lot of them are not. I've also noticed too. It seems like you all don't have we have a lot more what I would call career Congress people up here. You all don't seem to have have as many down there. I mean, people serve one term.
We have. No, we have those, but they rather move within different branches of government. So they would be like 2 terms in Congress, then we move to the ministry of a province or a small city. But that's what Milei called the caste. People that has been living, like the deep state, but these guys are not so deep state. They're just the visible face, and they have been encroached in government since ever.
Yeah, it seems like you have turnover, but you really don't have much turnover. You just have the same people working for the same team on the same side. It's not really that much variety. So, and the leader of the party is Gabriel Bornoroni. Yeah, did I say that right? Yeah.
Yeah, he is the chairman of the bloc, of the legislative bloc.
Yeah.
In Diputados, I think, or in Senate. Not sure.
Yeah, the chairman of the bloc, so to speak. Yes, so it's been very, and with half of those seats up, about half the seats up. So hopefully, I mean, we've already had some successes in Salta, and I think some other. But this is there are also local elections, which may tell us how things are going. But we'll have to go from there and see how that works out, because I think it's going to be a very and the polls close at 6. So you all just vote on the Sunday election day. You don't vote any other time. Is that right?
Elections are always on Sunday.
Well, there's things like absentee ballots or early voting here. It seems like to me they're
actually they are banned. You can't publish any poll info until like 2 hours after the polls close.
Okay.
So there won't be any data. But this year we're voting with a different ballot model. Up to this election, when you go to the voting booth, which is not a booth but a room, you will have a table full of ballots for the different parties, 1 ballot for each party. Because of new legislation from last year, now we will have a single ballot, and you have to mark down with a pen for which one are you voting, which I think it's a system more similar to what you have in the US in general, right?
Everything's electronic here. I mean, it's a very different system. Before when we had paper ballots, everybody would be on the one ballot. There wouldn't be, Milei ballots, Massa ballots. There would be. It seems like it's kind of an interesting system you have down there. I'm not sure what I would say about it. It's, but Milei got elected, so that's the important thing. I hope this all works out. It's, and the senators are elected every 6 years. You have 1 from each province, and so there's always
3 from each province. Yeah,
three from each province. Yes, and,
3.
Yeah, and so they're just all elected on the rotation that way. So the
the Senate is out of the question. Like, the key for this election is to reach that third in deputies in the House.
Yeah, it looks like the Senate's pretty much not gonna go that way at all. Not gonna be. There's no way of taking, because only 1/3 of the Senate seats are up, and that was the whole point of having a Senate. It wasn't supposed to be something you could just sweep out quickly. You would have to. It would have to happen more. It'd have to be something, that would occur over time. So, yeah. I do find it interesting too, though, because our representatives are elected every 2 years, and down there they're elected every 4 years. So that does make it a little more.
And there is a lot of, well, from what I see here, there is like a direct relationship between the constituent and the congressman, because like he comes from a given district and he has to respond to the people who you are representing, and you're assigned to that specific district. Here in the Congress, it's like you represent a province, but you don't represent like a particular district.
See what you mean? Yeah. So the representatives represent the whole district, or the whole or the whole province.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah. So who are some other names? I know we've got some other people running who are some people that we should maybe watch in this election for La Libertad Avanza? I mean, I know there's Karen Reichardt, and she's a new person stepped in. There's Santilli as well. So what can you tell us about that?
Well, Santilli is the guy that I was talking to you before, the guy that was ran for governor previous election for the Pro Party. They are not libertarians. They are just. Karen Reichardt is like a former model, which I mean, her resume is pretty clean.
Yeah.
The other guy, Santilli, has been a politician for his whole life almost, and he's no libertarian. He's just part of Milei's party now because he's gonna get elected. By saying that he runs for La Libertad Avanza, but in the end, that's one of the biggest problems of Milei, that he is a libertarian. He's surrounded by a couple of libertarians, but most of congressmen, most of public officials don't know anything about libertarianism, free markets, whatever you want to say about that.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I wonder if they're learning, or if that's the thing too. Is sometimes you just get people who join your club because you're the popular club. I mean, there's no way Bullrich would have allied with Milei if she didn't think Milei was, going to win the presidency. I mean,
absolutely. I mean, like, and it's funny because they were like 2 days before the election, they were killing each other, saying, "Hey, you're putting bombs on kindergartens back in the day," and the other saying, "You want to make us, you want to create a civil war in the country." And 2 weeks later, they are hugging and saying, "We are all allies, and we were going to win the election." But well, that's how it's politics.
And Bullrich is certainly been loyal to him as well. Yes, it's
Oh, indeed. Yeah, she had been a loyal one, despite everything.
Yes. Yeah, it's that's sometimes you need your soldiers, and boy, if your soldiers just fight the fights, that's all you really care about. So is there anything else happening right now that's could impact this election? I mean, we've went over Espert's resignation, the various other candidates who are running, but and of course the beef and the currency swap. I don't know if there's. Do you think Milei might try to dollarize, or what? That was his plan. Do you think Do you think he could still dollarize, or do you think he'll just maybe let things go as they wait? Because in a way, Argentina already is still somewhat dollarized. I mean, he's basically opened it so if you want to buy a house or sell a car and using U.S. dollars or using Mexican pesos or Peruvian soles, you can do it.
Yeah, most people will buy a house or buy a car or anything of some value with US dollars, but the problem is still the peso, and I don't see Milei implementing dollarization in the short term or closing the central bank. And that was a disappointment. Let me say, because I think that the challenge here is that the government has to take actions that will persist in time, that are going to be difficult to roll back. And closing the central bank could be one of that. Like when you remove from the root government body, it's harder to recreate it than if you just shrink it. If you shrink it, it will not really start growing again, or it's going to be easy for politicians to start feeling money again inside that department. But once you close it, it's political. It's a larger effort, politically speaking, to rebuild these departments.
One of the things that makes free market reforms difficult is they often will have put a shock into the system that can cause a lot of pain in the short term, but it ends up benefiting you in the long term. But nobody but the voters never think ahead like that. So I mean, if the Argentine peso suddenly disappeared on the street tomorrow, how would that shock the system? How exactly what would you have to do, to remove a currency from your system? I mean, I guess you'd have to talk to the people who've already done it.
Yeah, I think that in other implementations, like in El Salvador or in Ecuador, what they did is like opening a period of time that you could go and they set an exchange rate for the day of dollarization, and then you have a period of time to go to the bank and exchange your pesos for US dollars. But nowadays, like most of the money is electronic, so you just need to change the denomination,
certainly,
the dollar sign. But so that's what would be necessary. Of course, there is like a much more complex process behind that, but in terms for the people, like for the regular people, they will have to go to the bank and exchange their pesos. That people, in Argentina, people only have pesos for like your daily payments or your most immediate expenses. If you are whatever thinking 3 months in advance, you just move to the US dollars to get stability.
I think we've covered most everything here, and you didn't have that much time. So, do you have anything else to say before we go?
No, just hope that Milei has a good election this Sunday, because he will need Congress to pass reforms and to. I would say that not even pass reforms, just to stay in power.
Yes.
Otherwise, he will be impeached and deposed by the parents and the whole political system.
Well, and maybe we can build some momentum for for later too. So where can we find you out there? You're on Twitter.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter. My handle is at Dubove, and I just said here. I should have done that at the beginning. And now I'm hosting a podcast called Generación Bitcoin. It's in Spanish, where we interview Bitcoiners. We're trying to explore who are the Bitcoiners, who are the guys that are using and that are using Bitcoin. So anyone interested in Spanish content about Bitcoin, you can tune in Generación Bitcoin.
Oh, yes. Please like this show. Go to Buy Me a Coffee where people are giving me money. Check out my novel, Escape from the Village. Subscribe to the channel and follow me on Twitter. Thank you, Adam Dubove. I'm Chris Baker. We're out. Buy my novel, Escape from the Village, from major booksellers online. Go to escapevillage.com. Subscribe to the Substack. Go to fountainheadforum.substack.com. Support the forum. Go to buymeacoffee.com/fountainheadforum. Thank you.